better tell it. People on the streets say Sabrina speaks. Tune into the show, she will let you know. Tell all your friends and family. Real talk is no joke. You get the news straight up from grassroots and concerns. You even hear some people gone. So tell all your friends to tune in to
Good evening, Cayman. I'm Sabrina Turner, and welcome to Sabrina Speaks, your daily dose of clarity, truth, and community insights. Every weekday from 5 to 6:30 p.m., we're tackling the issues that affect you. From national headlines to grassroots concerns. Whether you're in traffic or winding down your day, this is your chance to hear it straight and speak your truth. So buckle up, Cayman. We're not holding back.
This is the show. We gotta let you know. Now we got to go.
And now here's Sabrina.
Well, good afternoon, Cayman Islands. I got to make sure that my mics are on and that you're hearing me loud and clear. Good morning to our global family as well, and welcome to another episode of Sabrina Speaks, Voices of the Islands, Conversations for the World, and the podcast where voices rise, stories unfold, and inspiration takes center stage. Yes, I'm your host, Sabrina, and I must say, happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. Yes, I hope that it's a great day, that you found it out at least, that today is a great day to make someone or some more wonderful memories to add to your already blessed life. And I'm hoping that you're having a thankful Thursday. No matter where you are in the world, no matter what you're doing, I'm hoping that you're grateful to be above ground. Yes, because the content you're about to hear, including any discussions or opinions from myself, guests, and or participants, is intended solely, let me send that off, solely for the general informational and entertainment purposes. It is not a substitute for professional, legal, medical, or financial advice. I encourage you to consult with a qualified professional for specific concerns. Bridge Media Limited and all its affiliates disclaims all liability from any decisions or actions taken on in reliance on the information presented. And don't forget to follow, like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Yeah, because it has been thought-provoking, educational, and it's always good to be here with you and definitely participating and giving back all of the feedback that we're getting and engaging in meaningful discussions. Yeah. You know, Pirates Week is still ongoing. We're wrapping up our Pirates Week festivities over in the Sister Islands. That kicked off over in Little Cayman as early as today. And then it will go straight into Saturday. They'll be having a drone show, and I think there's a parade and everything over in Little Cayman. Good for them. And Kim and Brack as well has joined into the celebrations. So for all of those persons over there in the Sister Islands who will be celebrating Pirates Week this weekend over there in the Sister Islands, they will also be having a drone show as well. Hope there's no jamming there and that goes off without a hitch. But for all of you wanting to know for this weekend and definitely for the weather, breezy conditions alongside mostly fair skies are expected to prevail across the Cayman area through the next 24 hours as a ridge of high pressure builds across the region with some moderate to rough seas possible from this afternoon. Now, satellite analysis indicates scattered patches of low-level clouds across the Cayman area. Tonight's forecast calls for fair skies with a 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will fall to the upper 70s. Winds will be east to northeast, 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts, mainly towards the sister islands. Seas will be moderate to rough with wave heights of 4 to 6 feet, and there is a small craft advisory in effect. Now, today's tides, had a low tide at 4:03 this afternoon, and a high tide will be at 8:41 tonight. Tomorrow's low tide will call for 3:27 a.m. and a high tide at 10:46 a.m. Sun will set this evening at 5:44 p.m. and beautiful sunrise. Yes, if we had one like we had this morning at 6:37 a.m. tomorrow. Now, the outlook is for similar weather conditions through late Friday, and thereafter, slight chance of some showers is possible as a weak surface trough drifts across the Northwest Caribbean. So there you have it for all of you weekend lovers and everyone who are definitely looking forward to the weekend. That's pretty much what it's going to be looking like over the weekend, no matter what island you're on, aka what district you're in. That is what it's going to look like. Happy birthday and wedding anniversary shout outs to everyone who's celebrating birthdays. Yeah, we remember you. The month of November has been very busy. I know we got some people coming up tomorrow that I'm seeing. Thank God for Facebook and some of the reminders. And even then I remember, I forget, some of them are overlooked. So yeah, please do not take anything serious. I don't mean it if you're, it's just a lot going on. So once I am in there and I see them, I will celebrate you and I will mention it once I get the information. Definitely, I'll share it with you as well. Hi, Marshall. Good evening. How are you in the frosty weather? Barbara G, good evening to you, my sweet. Always good to have you locking in. Marshall, you're the first actually to comment. And Miss Barb's, you are the second. You're the second. It is so good. I'm keeping tabs on how you all are doing. Festive season is coming up and I'm working on some stuff behind the scenes. So yeah, it is good to have you all here with me and definitely sticking with me. That means the world to me because without you, what's the sense? Well, Finance Committee ended pretty much yesterday, and now they're pretty much reviewing everything that was discussed and all that sort of stuff. So there was a question that came about in yesterday's Henry Forecast episode that someone was asking what was the monies put aside for the landfill. I got a breakdown, synopsis of what the Minister of Health, Sustainability, and there's another thing with her, Honorable Catherine Ebanks. Pretty much I got a breakdown. And also forecast looking, and I'll share some of the headlines with you as well as forecasts and projections for our very expected tourist season. Yeah, we're expecting numbers with even new airlines coming in here. Chicago, I'm hearing. Yeah, it's looking good for any and everybody in the tourism, hospitality industry, but more so in the stay over tourism sector. So yes, it's looking bright. And the Deputy Premier actually alluded to that as well. So, but let's go in. I will be speaking to a member from the opposition very briefly because they're going to go into a deep dive with us. But I'm expecting a call around 5:20, so I'll break to take that call from a member of the opposition just to give a quick synopsis of just quickly, not in detail, but now that Finance Committee, what it means, and but we'll do a deeper dive at a later date. So, we got to look at this, and I have to share this, celebrating when it comes to our national heroes. We are seeing, and for those of you who don't know a little bit of our history, Miss Mary Evelyn Wood, you're seeing here on the screen. That's who that lady is. And today, she's celebrated as Cayman's national hero because she was a trailblazer for women's rights, education, and public service here in the Cayman Islands. Now, she broke barriers as the first woman elected to the Legislative Assembly and the first woman who served as a juror, leaving a legacy that profoundly shaped opportunities for women and the future of Cayman. And she is one of those women that actually opened the door for females like me to actually have been able to stand for election and so much more like her. Now, if you didn't know, now you know. She was born on November 20th, and today's would be her birthday. She was born on November 20th, 1900, and she died on May 16th, 1978. Yes, she was a dedicated nurse, teacher, and a community leader. Sounds like little bits of what I had in me. And known as her for her selfless service and commitment to positive change across the Cayman Islands. Now, why she was significant and is significant to the Cayman Islands, because, like I said, she was an education pioneer, healthcare advocate, political trailblazer, because when it came to education, in her early 20s, she opened a small school in her father's home, and she taught children herself. And when it came to being a healthcare advocate, she was trained as a practical nurse, and she provided tireless care during the typhoid epidemic of the late 1930s. And what she did as being a healthcare advocate is that she visited households across the islands. And then it didn't stop there. In where politics is concerned, now this is a woman who don't give up. She, as I said earlier on, was the first woman elected to the Cayman Islands, then what we called it the Legislative Assembly. And that was in 1962 in Bordentown District. She is the first woman to serve as on a juror, and she was treasurer also of the National Democratic Party in 1959, the year Caymanian women gained the right to vote. And this strong lady here as well was among the women who signed the 1957 petition for suffrage, helping secure voting rights for Caymanian women in 1959. So these are things, yes, and I applaud the Ministry of Culture on this very day, highlighting the significance of national heroes like her. And her work was profoundly important because of her ability to shaping women's future by breaking the political and civic barriers. She proved that women could lead, legislate, and serve equally alongside men. And in doing that, she also had a profound impact on the Cayman society in advocating for education and healthcare that aided in uplifting communities during times of crisis. So when you even look at the legacy of inclusion, this lady, our national hero, Miss Mary Evelyn Wood, embodied the value of service, transparency, and unity, and those qualities that continued to inspire Cayman's leaders to this day. So yes, it is very, very important that the Cayman Islands show our appreciation and kudos to the staff over there in honoring Miss Mary Evelyn Woods, because her life reminds us that progress is built on courage and compassion as well. And this lady has opened doors, so many doors for women, and she strengthens Cayman's Democratic Foundation and showed that leadership is about service to people. And her legacy is not just history, it is a living call to preserve Cayman's culture that many say we don't have, but we do. And it is a living call to preserve and empower its people and to ensure that future generations, especially women, continue to rise. Yeah, so we celebrate her today, and how fitting, because as we celebrate history, look at here. Thank you for those who really to those who share these pictures with me. I don't know if you guys can zoom in if you're on your smartphones, but yeah, we honor Miss Evelyn Wood, but also at John Gray High School today. They honored in a pinning ceremony future leaders induction pinning that took place earlier on today. Congratulations to all of these young men and women, acknowledging their significance in this pinning ceremony as a rite of passage. And these students really represent the future leaders of Cayman. And today they were celebrated not just in induction, but the beginning of a journey, and a journey of leadership, service, and responsibility. And look at these faces here. They are the ones who will carry our culture, our values, and our hopes forward. And, they didn't get it just so. These highlights in celebrating these students, looks at the qualities that it have. This is an honor for them, their dedication, them investing in themselves, and recognizing them. Let's give them the respect that they are our future men and women of tomorrow that will more than likely be a part of our history as well. And we can see so much of them. And I want to say, in a shout out, I want to acknowledge those teachers who identified and nurtured these qualities, these young men and women that will have long-standing, profound impact on their lives. Because the teachers, our teachers, you saw a spark in these students, and you framed it into, you fanned it. You're fanning it and you're nurturing it. And in this case, into flames that will have lifelong impacts. And you've given them a chance. And a lot of our young people are just looking for a chance. And, we also can't forget, and let's honor parents, guardians, and families as well, because behind every leader is a family that believes in them, their parents, guardians, and siblings. So in this celebration, parents, guardians, siblings, loved ones, we celebrate you as well. We thank you for your support. We thank you in making sure you keep them in line, even when these are not in school. And, we have to, it continues, learning continues in and out of the classroom. And we just really want to thank you as well. So for that, for teachers, for the students, for the parents, for the guardians, for the brothers and sisters, we applaud you. Yes, we applaud you, and greater things to come, definitely for the future. But it takes unity and responsibility. And to every student who is here today and participated in this and given the opportunity, remember, you are example setters for those who may not have been a part of this induction and pinning of the Student Council, but you are also example setters for those who are looking up to you now, in and out of school, on and off the campus, even when you're out enjoying your time, because leadership is not about ego or power. It's about service, unity, and remembering that we rise together. So yes, may you lead with wisdom, students, serve with humility, and inspire with love. For the future Cayman is brighter because of each one of you, because of each one of your teachers, because of your parents, your siblings, and your guardians. So yeah, there we go. So congratulations to you all. I'm so proud of you right here on Sabrina Speaks. And I'm quite sure I'm getting some feedbacks from proud parents too. I'm seeing that definitely. Yep. Who's here? Who's here? Yes, Sonia, good evening to you. Welcome, my love. Connie Bonnie. Yes, and the massives. They're right there. Cameron, where you been? Good evening, Sabrina. And we ready to listen. You missed two episodes you were very quiet on? Yeah, wherever the heck you were. We wouldn't be for our Caymanian women. We need on a still more than ever. Thank you for that. Yes, but I really applaud the Ministry of Culture, to be honest, Cameron, for highlighting her on her birthday. This would have been her birthday. So kudos to them. Hey, Keith, how you doing? It hurts me when people come to Cayman and disrespect Caymanians. It hurts all of us. even non-Caymanians, Keith, but even more Caymanians, because we have some that the only difference between them and how they've assimilated in our society, how they've embraced us, that you wouldn't have known that they were not born Caymanians. They will defend us, they will stand up, and they, before a face and behind the back, you'd be surprised how some of them really, really stand up for us. So yeah, it hurts us even more, to be honest. Hey, Baranji 282. Congrats, kids. Yep. There's huge congratulations to them. Cameron, what are you saying? We're already in the history books. Caymanians will one day be a course at every Ivy League university. I hope so, in the best way. Caymanians need a little bit of empowerment, though. Yes, we do. And that's why, Cameron, it takes every one of us to do that. It takes every single one of us to do that, my love. We can't just leave it on any one sector of individuals. We all have a responsibility, and that's why it's key. Let me call, yeah. So it takes all of us, to be honest. And I'm so proud of them. And this is why I don't mind giving them their moment to shine here in this space, because I will get into the headlines after this phone call. But we have some headlines where, unfortunately, a kid was found. It's alleged that a kid was found with a knife on the bus. But hold on, we will go into that a little bit. Just let me make a call here to a member of the opposition. Let's see. Oops, that's not going through. Yeah, so we will. The deputy leader of the opposition wanted to just, they were invited to come on. Anybody is invited to come on, even the member of government, but I understand that some of them will be on Sandra's show. So its finance committee ended, and we will be having various members of government at some point in time join us here on the platform, and we will hear what they have to say. Who go and call themselves Caymanian when the money runs out? We have an opportunity to actually gauge that, and that's why we have to hold our leaders accountable. And when you look at this last finance committee and the budget, you see what it is, and I'll go into exactly what that means even for tourism in a few minutes here. Well, that elected member will see where I was calling, so there we go. But yeah, so at the end of the day, it all takes us, and I think what was profound, Cameron, and I don't know if you had any opportunity to go back yesterday, is when we looked, darn it, no wonder I'm not seeing this thing good, got on the wrong darn glasses. We had the deputy governor, Miss Gloria, who presented, can see the future now, who was on, and she presented the way forward for the civil service. And when you looked at those numbers, and when you looked at exactly numbers in order that was asking in the budget to run the civil service, that includes lifetime of pension, medical pension for all civil servants, and including their dependents. All of their dependents who works in the civil service, medical and pension, medical is provided for all dependents, including those who are not working, but they're the dependents of civil servants. So that's a huge bill. And remember, we have persons who are retired civil servants who have given back to the civil service, and those were some of the payout benefits, and that has to be funded. And then you have those persons who are retiring, and a part of their retirement package, medical continues. So these are all the things that are in there. And I think as the civil service continues to either grow or shrinks, these are all the things that actually have to be taken into consideration, how it's going to impact, whether it's going to impact it positively or negatively. But at the end of the day, they need the money in order to operate. And we don't want a case where, thankfully, we're not like the United States, where, which I couldn't see that happening, where we didn't have a budget. So that at the end of the day is the case. So is it the case? So there you go. We're happy that they've gotten to an end despite it being handled a little differently. And I'll leave the opposition their opportunity to give their perspective on how this finance committee was handled in a deeper, more in-depth conversation in the future. It's just good to hear it directly from them. But yeah, let's look at some of the headlines, hoping that call will be returned. But nevertheless, we will continue to move on here, definitely. And did you see the headlines and what's coming to Prospect, another area? Imagine turning an empty patch of land into a buzzing food court. Where, let's say, jerk chicken meets vegan tacos, right up my alley. And families can gather, let's say, like a shaded picnic tables. Kids can play in nearby, as well as you partake of all of what's happening. So pretty much, Cayman, your taste buds are about to get a new postcode. You could be excited. You could be like, oh my God, more traffic coming to our area. Or, yay, you know what that's going to do to values and properties, making it more attractive. Again, the Going East initiative. Well, if you missed it, a new food truck park has been approved for Prospect. There you got it. And it is promising a vibrant culinary and community hub for Georgetown, but it's going to be in Prospect Red Bay area. So the residents there will have that now in our front yards, in some cases in our backyards. So it's going to be located right there next to Tim Hortons, in the middle right there. Beautifully location. It's a beautiful location. And it's the developer is RS Properties, and it's going to be an investment of like $135,000. Now, it was approved by the Cayman Islands Central Planning Authority earlier this month, and it is expecting to be in the community for this entire community. What it adds to this community is going to be up to 12 food trucks that will be offering diverse cuisines of local, regional, and international flavors. They're going to have like picnic tables for open air dining, encouraging more of a community mingling and family outings. And children can also, there's envisioned for a children playground, making it more appealing and a family-friendly destination. And there will also be, this was actually one that I'm like, yes, washroom facilities. A practical touch for comfort and cleanliness. So in these plans, there's going to be washroom facilities right there. And there's going to be 30 parking spaces for shaded structures, ensuring 4 shaded structures as well will be there. So you're going to have 30 parking spots, and they're going to be shaded structures as well to ensure that it's comfortable for all ages. So whether or not you are excited about this or a little depressed, it's more offerings right there in that middle of that highway. And what it could actually mean for the area and for Cayman as a whole, it could probably spark new and innovative business opportunities for persons who may want to get into the food truck business, actually giving local entrepreneurs and chefs to get a lower entry point to test and grow their culinary ideas. It's an excellent segue into maybe bigger things. And then what it actually does as well, it's creating a community space where it's more than food. It's a gathering place with modern day village square type feeling where, there's culture, cuisine, and conversations all collides. And this is what we need to do. Get out more, mix and mingle with people. And if the atmosphere is right, then I feel it may do wonders for the area. And it could, with the whole playground and everything, with an open layout, it becomes then a place, of course, under the watchful eyes of parents, for families and young persons to gather and live harmoniously in the community while enjoying some scrumptious food. Yeah. Why everyone wants to be Caymanian. We can't leave, this is from Cameron, we can't even keep our own identity for ourselves. Well, maybe it's because we create such a warm and loving atmosphere, Cameron, that everybody wants to be us. And that's why we have to guard it with legislation. And we just have to be real with our people. So, we can't wait for the end of the day. We can't wait for the end of the day. Okay, good. So there we go. Let me just call back 1 second. There we go. So yeah, rise up with purpose. Cameron, that gonna be a next mix up. Oh, stop it. It's gonna be good, Cameron. Behave yourself. What exactly will be added? There'll be 12 food trucks, Cameron is proposed. We'll see protocol and law. I'm quite sure it's an open space. It's right there next to Tim Hortons. And because it's bordering two major arteries, a domestic road that feeds all Mangrove, Mahogany, Victory Avenue, Prospect Road, and Marina Drive, it's like a V. It'll be right in that middle there. So it should bring great offerings to the area. And we have a member of the opposition, deputy leader of the Progressives on the line. Good evening, Georgetown Central Representative Kenneth Bryan. How are you?
I'm good, Sabrina. How are you doing?
I'm fair to fine. You must be tired. It's been one heck of a week.
Yeah, it's been a week and a half. We were in there from last week, so yeah, it's been long, but necessary. We've got to do the people's work. So, but yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up tomorrow. The last day of finance committee process. So, but yeah, a lot. Thank you for having me on your show, by the way. It's a pleasure to be on.
It's open for anybody to come and take advantage of it. I thought it was only fitting not to go and do it a deep dive, but to just keep people up to speed, because I think you got the record when it comes to asking of questions, which proves you're in opposition. They love you. They hate you. They want to cuddle you. They want to strangle you. Oh my gosh, it was comical to watch it play out on the floor, but profound questions. Yes, you're like one of those, sometimes you're glad you kind of got down with the flu because it forces you to go to bed. And then you're like, oh God, I wish I didn't have it. You're a love to hate type of MP, but kudos to you. You showed whether or not they like you. You showed what it was to ask the questions, because a lot of the questions that you were asking and how you were defending what we're accustomed to was reasonable. And this is why I feel that the chairman pretty much gave you a leeway. But we will go deeper into that, hopefully in the very near future when you'll have more time on your hand. But I thought it was just fair enough to invite you on to just, this is your opportunity to just say what you want to say to the people of the Cayman Islands with how that whole exercise went.
Well, thank you so much, first off, and good evening to your listening audience. It's a pleasure to be on the show officially, I think, for the first time. Most times I'm just a caller calling in. And I guess I'm a caller calling in now as well, but more in official capacity.
Correct.
But yeah, this finance committee was long, but most interesting. It's very unconventional. I've been elected now going into 9 years, and I personally think there's a lot of circumvention of the conventions, which is important to the scrutiny process. Like sometimes people don't recognize the importance of how our system is set, creates the balance of checks and balances on so governments don't get to run off and do whatever they want, and make sure it keeps an eye on things. And unfortunately, there was a bit of subversion from that, particularly with the debate, particularly with details about what a lot of people are talking about right now is these new taxes and fees. And normally all of those things would come out through the budget debate, but the budget debate was never really done because the premier promised that these ministers would speak. They never did speak. We never knew what the details were. And then even in finance committee, it's only based on probing that we found out some rather important things that were happening, like the increase in water authority that is coming, a lot of these fees, because most of the discussion was in a general terms. You never knew exactly fees in financial services, what does that mean? Or fees in immigration, where in immigration? Is it going to affect the average person? Is it going to affect small business? So we couldn't get the real details to do our job, to scrutinize it and see whether it's going to have a major impact on the people. And as a result, after pressure from the opposition about due process and doing it the right way, we eventually told them they could not go around the conventions of what the standing orders say, had to find unique standing orders to pull it out and threaten debates and all kinds of stuff for them to really come out. So what you saw in Finance Committee was actually ministers opening Finance Committee with a statement, which is unconventional. That doesn't happen. You do your statements and all the plans that you're going to do during your budget debate. That's when you outline exactly everything you're going to do.
Similar to what Honorable Nicholas DaCosta did, right?
Correct. Nicholas did it right.
Yeah, he did it right.
He did it right. He was the only minister outside of obviously the finance minister himself who had to move the motion and close the motion on the budget debate. So, but even in that case, as much as I want to give credit to him, but it was almost automatic. He had to do that, and he still didn't give the finer details of those taxes and fees until we got into Finance Committee itself. Because if you were to outlay all of those taxes and fees increases, then that would obviously trigger a debate as to what you're doing and what this is going to do to the economy and to business community and the general life of actually everybody. So I personally think that's a strategic move, trying to go along this line that they've been selling is, oh, we're going to increase some fees, but it's not going to hurt the average person. It's not going to hit Caymanians. And that's other rubbish. I think most people see through that now going, of course, this is going to trickle down to me. Even the ones that are not considered to be direct to me, they're going to eventually hit me back somewhere or another. And then you obviously have a lot of Caymanian business owners who are going, hold on for a minute, that's going to affect me. So, and the interesting part about the whole exercise for us thus far is that these new fees and taxes, which amount to a very large amount of money, have not been calculated in the inflation rate that is outlined in their SPS budget document, which SPS policy document, which was in September. And then in the budget document where the index is at, it tells you about the expected inflation rate for the next 2 years, in 2026 and 2027. But come to find out, these new fees were not calculated in that inflation equation.
Would that information would have been? Would that have been data that they would have spoken with the Economics and Statistics Office? Would they have?
They should have.
Okay.
But it can't be because they didn't approve them until Friday last week, sometime last week. The report for the budget document was already written. So I know for certain that the figures could not have been equated into it. And we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars here, which could have a knock-on effect. So it is the way they went about doing this. I mean, granted, the government has the right, and there are some serious needs that we have from infrastructure costs and costs to do things for our people. But it's not what you do, as the old people would say, but how you do it. And it gives off an element of deceitfulness. If you're going to increase the cost of living on the people and you feel that you have to, say that, but don't try to, So, it's that's with the backdrop of a sentiment of the government is going to be transparent. And what triggered it for me is in the Premier's first statement to the budget, he promised the country, he said, you will be hearing from each one of the ministers about their plans for their portfolios and ministries in detail. And then none of them speak except for Nicholas. I was like, okay, because, I was given the benefit of the doubt to this government. I said, okay, maybe I'm wrong, Kenneth. Maybe you missed it. Maybe this is the government to be. Maybe Andre is the, person of truth and transparency and all that. And then nobody speaks. I was like, okay, now you just lied to me because I have been waiting from the SPS time about your policy. You got a whole half a year to plan for it. Normally you only get 3 months. You change the law for that. And then you still don't say anything. Now we don't know. Most people are saying like, I don't know where we're going. What everybody does know now though, is there's a major hike in prices and fees that most people believe is going to come back and hit them in some way, shape or form. So, I mean, we have to do a post-analysis of the sitting to find out, okay, then what does this mean to the bigger picture and what our position is as the official opposition. It was quite hard to even ask enough questions without having the details before. So, for example, Ministry of Environment, for example, last night got up, and without any contributions in her debate, when it's time for finance committee, I couldn't do the research on what she said and where the money is going to be spent and what policies and programs you're going to do it, because those finer details were never said or presented. So in finance committee, you get this long spiel of what they're going to do and a document that goes into the finer details. And I'm like, okay. And the chair goes, okay, any questions? It's not just as easy as that. You have to go back and reflect and do some research to ask the important questions to get the information of the effects for the people.
Mm-hmm.
And that we couldn't do because you have to ask on the fly. I didn't even have enough time to read the full document. You presented with I think it was like 30-odd page layout of the details of each line item.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, okay, I got 30 seconds to read this and then ask you a question about it. It wasn't fair, and it's not conventionally how you do it. And I don't know if it's inexperience or tactical strategy not to be able to allow us to scrutinize their process. But I tell you what it is not what we were promised from a government that was promising to be transparent, truthful, honest about the numbers, and not hiding anything. They're just going to do it the right way. But I think our group is going to be focusing on now what is the feedback from the public, because we actually didn't have enough time to hear what the people think about the fees because we just heard them ourselves. So anyway, we're going to hopefully come back on your show in a better format whereby we can actually be on the screen with you and share opportunities for your guests to ask us questions and so forth after we have done a proper post-analysis of this sitting finance committee. Now, I made a statement on Monday morning in response to what started to transpire, because finance committee started Tuesday last week rather.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to see this circumvention of the process. And when the fees were laid out, I was like, okay, that's enough. I had to speak on Monday morning in response to that. I think I summarized most of what our feelings were. Maybe you can find it on Facebook and on YouTube for your viewers to possibly hear, because I summarize it better that way about what the process is. But we look forward to coming back and discussing it later.
Yeah, that'd be good. You all are more than welcome. Cameron Castillo is saying, so Sabrina and Kenneth, good friends now? ? Tell us how on a mess up last time. I want to answer Cameron, but no, I'll be very respectful because I'm objective right here, Kenneth. But also it was followed by, and if you understood, this is by no means being rude or insultive at all. But Jasaria, there's a real reason why I've had certain topics here to explain the powers of your parliament. And the comment Jasaria made, and I will allow you to weigh in on both, Kenneth, and because I'll have my say, of course, just to answer about the mess up part. But that's Cameron for you. And I welcome his comments. But Jasaria says, just work with the government and get over your loss, bro. I get the opposition's job, but at the same time, he stay tearing down the government with every statement he makes. How would you respond to that if people are misunderstanding you trying to get information out to better inform the public that you're feeling the government may be withholding from the people, but it's taken as though you're a sore loser?
I don't know how to respond to that. I can just only be myself. I also know that there's other people who are listening who are not thinking that way, right? There's other people who are going, okay, let me hear what he's saying objectively. Is there any truth to that? And, I'm fine with that. That's a part of the political process. People will have opinions. Some people do think I just do it for politics. I hope that my message, rather than the messenger, listen to the message of what I'm saying, because I think you are doing a really good job trying to explain how it works and why it works that way.
It's not easy, trust me. Yeah, it's not easy, but I have to maintain my composure. Okay. Eventually they will get it. I just can't lose my way, lose my focus and mission and purpose for this space because of people not getting or full understanding. Eventually it will hit home.
It'll catch in, but we got there are people, I love them and I respect their opinion. You got to fight for their protective right to be able to say their opinion.
Correct.
So I'm fine with that. you have to learn to be able to handle that as an MP. If you
Ex-
can't handle it, wrong business to
And
be
in
in.
this
Because
space
let me
is
tell
the
you, you gotta
same
have tough
thing. You're
skin.
subjected to criticism. Just your very own nature as being an MP. You're subjecting yourself to criticism by the public. And it's no different from your own peers and colleagues who are in there, which is why you saw the egos and banters, and just you can see those rigidness displayed when questions are asked. And you have to be able to separate it, not taking it personal, but it is in your constitutional right to ask certain questions.
Yeah, I mean, you could think about the flip side. If I didn't ask any question, they'd say I wasn't doing my job. I'm getting paid to do nothing. So I'm not bothered by it. I want to focus on those who actually do want to know if there's truth to the critique of what we're saying.
Right.
Because I think people will logically look at it and say, okay, is that a fair assessment or not? People are not stupid. They can hear the message and go, okay, Kenneth, you're just being unnecessarily critical. Or is this right? I mean, do you feel like you were prepared for these expenses? Do you believe, forget about what Kenneth says. Look at I think I sent you the schedule of the fees and all those things. Do you think that they're going to trickle back and hit you, yes or no? That's the question you need to ask. Forget about who the messenger was. What is the message? And I think that's what people should focus on. Granted, I get it. I know that not everybody likes me. That's fine. I'm happy to know that there's a lot of people who love me in Central, and that's important for me. So I respect everybody's opinion. And if anybody wants to talk to me personally to understand, I'm happy to elaborate, because it's a very complicated.
It's hard and it's very emotive because
of information.
It's emotive as well,
so
because
I'm fine with that.
People just don't look at your roles. And Cameron did say, don't want on a confused ! I defend Kenny. So there you go. Cameron's defending you. It's just a matter. This is why I don't take it personal, Cameron. I don't, but we're going to answer. We didn't mess up. It was just a different administration, different leadership. We all know the history of myself, and that doesn't take away from the human element of what relationships I have forged with persons before being elected to office. We got closer after even elected, but we were the only two representatives for the District of Georgetown sitting in cabinet until I resigned as a minister. So it's not about friendship or didn't like each other. Kenneth and I knocked heads all together. I swear to Christ, a young man probably missed me by his left side for the amount of elbows and kicks that I kick him. Boy, hush him out, Kenneth. Just hold. You're misreading it. I would literally be doing that in meetings. Kenneth, calm down. And it was like a big sister, big brother. Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's interesting, because if they ever knew the battles we had to fight together from an immigration perspective, they would be surprised. We have a stronger bond than a lot of people know. Even my own team members go, where is this interesting bond you have with Sabrina? It's like, listen, we can disagree on some policies, but there's a lot of things that we agree on together in the best interest
and
of the
we were
country.
lone soldiers in there. But you made your decision and I had to make mine, but it doesn't take away from what we had to do to stand up in the best interest for Georgetown and the people overall.
And for those other people who were commenting earlier about, sore loser and all that, I want you to know, I love my colleague, every single one of them, right? They're Kimanian. Everybody who wants to do it, what they think they're doing is in the best interest. That's their way, right? So I may have a different way. We're arguing about which way is best. And our job is to try to convince the people that our way is better, or we are the other.
You're the sitting government. You're the government in waiting, should anything happen.
Correct. And a bigger picture than that, Sabrina, is the element of about the immigration bill. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
The immigration bill, like a lot of people don't know, much of the work in the immigration bill was something that we were working on together from before. Like I saw Michael Miles take so much credit about the rollover policy. We started the rollover policy, you remember?
Yeah,
together.
The government rollover policy.
In the government, yes, the government rollover policy, where the non-Kimanian civil servants. So like a lot of people don't know most of the things that are being said, we're in agreement with. There's some tweaks here and there, and you're going to be surprised to know that a lot of the immigration reform stuff we agree with, but there's a lot of it there that we go, hold on, that wasn't what we thought, or these are tweaks that are added on. So it's just a matter of difference in opinions. And at the end of the day, people will see for themselves and say, okay, did this work out or not? The history will tell. So that's pretty much it. But anyway, in that vein, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to come on. I want to revert back with my colleagues and find out a good time where we can all sit down and go through the specific things that we were not happy with, and what we heard from the public. Because it's not only about the 6 members in opposition, right? We have to go back out to the people after going through this vigorous exercise of finance committee and find out from the people what you heard. Are you comfortable with it? Are you happy with it? And explain some of the things, because a lot of times it's hard for the public to take 1,500 pages of budget and policy documents to say, okay, what does this mean for me now as an average person? So we have to explain in common terms, what does it mean? What the potential impact could be from an economics perspective, your cost of living, your way of life, and those types of things. So that's the important part of the budget that I think was missing. And I'm disappointed they didn't talk, because it's your job to take your complicated budget process, your policy process, and say, hey, your average Caymanian, this, what I'm doing means this for you. This will improve this, or your quality of life will be this, or what you will see 5 years from now is a better place like this. Give me the vision. Give the forget me. Give the public the vision of where do you see Cayman after your administration is over. So that's what you need to explain. And it's a job for leaders to inspire and explain what you're doing. And if you don't do that, then how do the people know to believe in you? I mean, to be honest, you're giving me an opportunity to criticize you unnecessarily. Just talk to the people. Anyway,
there you go.
At the risk of seeming to be too overly critical, I'll leave it there.
And being misunderstood, because you're doing your job. Yeah. It's a delicate balance, to be honest, but I don't envy you, and to be in doing your role, and you just honestly have to continue to do that. And let's hope with positive affirmation and repetition does help. But I'm hoping now, even though the budget will be passed, let's say tomorrow, once you guys convene, and it'll be passed, even coming back to your constituents, however format the opposition is going to do it, be it you'll go to your individual constituencies as a whole, or you'll do it as a town hall style session, or you'll do it like you're going through, I don't know how you're going to do it, because it is the holidays now.
Probably more likely to be a radio show.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's really, you're with the numbers, you ask your questions, but the budget is passed. It's going to be passed tomorrow.
Yeah. So maybe a roadshow of some sort to explain to people, like on your show, the other radio station. I won't call names because this is your platform, but other radio stations, and talk to the people. So that's basically what we're going to do. But we have to summarize.
Correct.
What's the takeaways first, and then do that, and let's get into Christmas, because we don't want to always be talking politics.
Exactly.
Christmas.
There is a joyous time. Correct.
So hopefully we can get that done before the start of December month.
Yeah. Anyhow, thank you so much, MP Brian, and I wish you all success. And I will definitely to keep my audience informed as to whenever you guys are going to come in to do a deep dive and analysis. Whenever you guys want, just give me a heads up. All right.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. God bless. Have a good day.
Likewise. Take care.
Sure.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Cameron, the budget talks was more grandstanding than reality of what and who were up against. Send on ya. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I'm sorry, Cameron, that you and a lot of more people were disappointed at how the other administration ended up, but that's water under the bridge. I have no regrets of what I did based on the environment that I were in, and some decisions that are still long lasting talking today. And at the end of the day, I would do it again if I was placed in that position, meaning to revert the hands of time and what was unfolding. I would do it again, unapologetically. And I have no regrets of making that decision that I made. Those others will speak for themselves. Some of them got reelected, or all got reelected. I was the only one that did not get reelected, and that's good for me. Look at where I am right now. So again, if I had it to do again under the circumstances that personally I made my decision to resign as a member of cabinet, I would do it again. And here I am. Kenny, don't be a stranger on Sabrina's show, and he won't be. And like I said, this is open for anybody, even members of government, persons who want to come on board, because it's all about the sharing of information, and I'm not lopsided. So at the end of the day, I will listen to a lot of what has transpired. I will many a times bring it back in synopsis format, which you all have appreciated, but it's good to get some of our leaders themselves on to hear it. And you will have a host of certain shows that conducts their shows totally different than others. And some may actually pull more information out of their guests in a different style of delivery that would be more thought-provoking. Again, the invitation is there and we are here. And once they make themselves available, I am more than happy to actually have them on. So yeah, but let's continue. Hey, Miss Joyce Ann, how you doing? Good to have you here. And Jasaria, my friend. Yeah, I think they're all willing to work. I think that was said, Jasaria, anyhow, at the end of the day, that they're willing to work with the government, but just be a little bit more inclusive. And like I said, a lot of how it works in there is going to require repetition. It may actually have to take snippets here and there to make examples. Well, this is why one, but each person has their style of delivery as well. Like you would never, ever. I remember the time that Mr. Panton got up and he was really loud, that he really raised his voice. Everyone was shocked. They're like, we didn't know he had that in him. But pretty much every time, from what people are saying now that they observe the style of Minister Bryan, that he almost sounds that he's just coming after people. That's him. And then you have other personalities displayed on the floor as well, that some may choose to diplomatically tell you out with in a word salad that you would need thesaurus and you would need to Google some of the words, but they are literally telling you out, but they are calm. They're like almost like the river that, like Flatbridge. Still waters run deep. Yes. And then you have those where they're predictable. You know exactly how they're going to stand up and fight. You know what? I prefer to see you coming than to not know what the undercurrents are. Because at least you know what Kenneth is. But it's the still waters that run deep sometimes that can cause the most damage. That is by no means criticizing anyone. It's just for the context of this information. Yeah. 19 or up in there belong to us, you know. Yeah, that's true. Every one of them. Well, you may notice as well, this continuing with the headlines before we get into what the Deputy Premier had to say, you know, that parents, you may have seen the headlines today, and when you look at parents sending now their children to school, expecting safety, structure, and support, but what happens, what goes through your mind when a knife shows up on a bus? Yeah, or in a school bag. It's time to talk. And it's not to criticize because this is all information that is new and it's coming. It has made the headlines today. You may have seen it yourself that a Red Bay primary school from grade 2 was reportedly found with a knife on a bus. And that has raised urgent questions about safety, supervision, and emotional well-being in Caymanian school system. Now, even though this was isolated to a grade 2 student on the bus, it's not like these kids are being frisked before coming on a primary school bus, or that there's doing a bag search right now. But to say that things and times are not changing is an understatement. So this is a story that will probably get some attention. Just in general, we can't name, we're not shaming, we're just having the conversation. Because in the article, it was found that a Red Bay student was allegedly found with a knife while riding the school bus earlier on today, and authorities were alerted. And the Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, in collaboration with the school, is reportedly investigating the matter. Now, it was also reported that no injuries, there was no incident report, but it has sparked serious concern amongst parents and educators. The motive and the true age of the student, no more than the child is just in grade 2, and disciplinary actions have not been publicly confirmed at this time because this is a developing story. But when you look at what these raises for our community, when it comes to school safety protocols, mental health and emotional support, parental engagement, there may even be changes for policy review. You know, are we going to be subjecting our buses to be supervised, which they do have bus wardens, but is it going to be kicked up a notch now where these kids' bags are going to have to be checked? Are you going to have to do a pat down? What training would these bus wardens and even possibly drivers need and aides receive? This could be something elevated to a different level. And then you're looking at the entire mental health and emotional support. Could this be a cry for help from the child? Are we listening to our children? Are there stress signals? We don't want to go in because we don't know. We don't know. We don't have the details, which is why these are just food for thought. And once the investigation goes on, do we need to talk to our kids more a little bit about conflict fair? Was it just a case where school knife to school? We don't know. We don't know. It's all speculative right now. But how do you feel? Do you feel your child is safe in schools nowadays or even on the school bus? And if you had anything to do, what changes would you like to see in how we protect our students, let's say riding on the bus or in the school campuses? But it's hard to have this conversation, to be honest, but it's real. It's very real because it has made the headlines. Marshall, when the PPM was in control, they weren't inclusive of the backbench. So you can ask this government to be inclusive of the now backbench. They had their turn. Now sit back and let the sitting government do their job. The backbench can raise concerns, but they don't try to tear down the government. Well said, Marshall. And yes, I guess this is all navigating at the end of the day, grandstanding or not, how they have a right to question. And it's just me outlining the role of the opposition. But I guess this is things and times have changed. There's a different leader on both parts of the opposition, the progressives and the CI, whatever the acronym is now, this coalition government. They're different leaders. And normally the style of governance and how they actually participate and inclusive of the opposition, be it a part of the party or the other two members that are in the opposition, but not necessarily aligned with any party. And don't think they don't talk. They all talk. That's how they get bipartisan decisions. Everyone in there talks to each other at the end of the day because we're all Caymanians and we're all fighting for the same good. So to say that it's so vile that, there isn't any, I think the atmosphere has gotten a little less combative, to be honest, than what it used to be. So let's see. Only time will tell. But I'm really happy that they got over this budget, even though the finance committee was handled in a different way, some way that we're probably not used to. And kudos to the 144, I think at one point, persons that I saw on the live last night. It shows that people are actually tuning in. To the best of my knowledge, in recent times, that would be considered a large number because normally a lot of the times people don't tune in, so they don't know. And I'm hoping to see that number continue to grow. Keith, the worst thing you can do as a member of parliament is to become stubborn and ignorant. Well said. Again, we all learn. And I guess in time, based on experience and all of that, you morph into how you want to be known as a leader. And in time, it'll just play its way out for who you are. And some, I guess, feel that their way is understood. I can't speak for anyone, but at the end of the day, well said, point taken. And I'm hoping that all persons will respect your opinion, Keith. Cameron, we was cutting onions and peeling green mango before we was 10 years old. Why they taking knife to school for? Well, that's the question. And this is why it's going to be investigated. I mean, that's a grade 2 student. These are some of the things that back then, our age back then to these kids that we're raising up now. Conflict resolution is not a thing. There are so much things that's influencing our young men and women, little ones going to school, that some of the things that you're hearing even coming out of their mouths, we would never even be dream of talking like that when we were that age. So it's just different times and things. And I think we have to just learn how to actually, parenting has changed. The style of parenting has changed because these kids are not like when I was that age. I could tell you that. And my kids, doing comparison of even my kids and being very, very involved in the PTA, like Miss Marva Reed, I'm quite sure if she goes back to when our kids were in school and the kids that she's dealing with right now, it's just speaking to them, it like you're dealing with adults. Like when you're talking to them, trying to reprimand them, it's like you're dealing with adults with how they're posturing and how they're standing up. So it is hard. And kudos to all of the teachers, educators out there with human rights and knowing all the laws now protecting what was deemed abuse. It's not easy. It is not easy raising a children, much less being an educator now, with some of the sometimes disrespectful and rude behavior that the teachers have to endure. Feelings are not real, Cameron says. Marshall, all parents need to be held accountable for whatever their school-age children are doing. They're supposed to check their children's school bags before they leave home. Well said, Marshall. I remember when my children used to come from school, I used to do bag checks. And if I saw an eraser or some toy or something, which would be weird because I don't send my kids to school with toys, but let's say there was an instrument like a protractor set, things can always happen. Or sometimes a wrong pencil case, they may do a swap. I question, that was not yours. Why do you have this? That was the type of parent I was. And I would make sure that, because I used to drop them to school until they wanted to be adventurous and take the bus. But I would question, and then I would go to the kid, for example, if I found something that I know wasn't theirs, I would make sure I found myself with my kids at the school the next morning through the office and just deal with it. Or sometimes I would know the children. Sometimes I would know the children and I would make them swap out the stuff. Many a times it was an even exchange because let's say one had a Pokemon or a Power Rangers, those days, to show you how old my kids are, Power Rangers prints or something. And even the paperback folders, the folders, the push-in folders, it all depends on what was on it. Sometimes they would do swaps. That was okay. But at the end of the day, they don't have that permission to do it because I don't know what the parents of the other child would say. And it was a transaction. Call it what you may, it was a transaction that they did not have approval. So again, that's instilling certain things. But I agree with you. These kids with weapons, it's a bladed weapon. Maybe the parents didn't check it, or it's just the furthest thing away from their mind that would happen. And it could be deeper than that. We don't know, but let's leave that investigation to be carried out and let's see what the findings are. Cameron, they only there to catch news and see who else is in class. Stop it. Generation Fox. Oh, you're something else. Good evening, Sabrina. I'm listening. Hi. It's good to see you. PTA need milk. Oh, God. Sonia, the child broke a teacher's finger at the age of... A child broke a teacher's finger at the age of 6. Oh, really, Sonia? You see what I'm telling you? These are the things now that I'm telling you. Kudos go out to the teachers. And what do you do in a case like that? Not speaking on behalf, but it is a different breed. It is a different breed of children. And how even you have some people that disciplines their children at home with touch, that if they throw a temper tantrum, oh, I know I don't want to put on my shoes either. There are days, for example, that I don't want to go to work, but I have to go to work. And I'd be like, get your backside up out of bed. It's time to go to school. You're not sick, whatever. Now, that's how I raised mine. It wasn't abuse. It wasn't abuse. You can get up on a Saturday and a Sunday morning, and when it's on summer breaks and stuff, and you can get up really early that nobody can sleep in, you can get up and go to school unless you're sick. Now, if they were exhibiting signs where there were a runny nose or a temperature or a stomach bug, that's a total different thing. But this thing, it's just how I'm not going to question anybody's style of parenting because cultures as well. We're talking about how much cultures and nationalities we have here. Everyone is different. Everyone is different. But I'm going to tell you what I'm seeing being displayed by these children that are being born today. It not like me, and it not like the two that I brought into this world. It is a different type of stimulation. It is a different type of behavior. I had a niece that was born last week. Just hours that I had seen this kid, her eyes were open and she was lifting her head up. So you see what I'm saying? I remember days babies took 2-3 months to open their eyes. Now their eyes are open and they're pretty much ready coming out of the womb to scroll on the phone. So what I'm saying is it's a different time whatsoever. So this isn't just about a child, to be honest. This is about all of ours. And that's, let's not wait for a tragedy, to be honest, to spark reform. And I put it in the hands of our teachers and our leaders and investigators that if certain things now have to be implemented because things and times have changed, that they will now probably have to escalate and double check these bags now before they come on the bus, which again will possibly slow down commute times. But let's use this moment to build bridges between more communication between the parent, school, and or sometimes policymakers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, another headline that you may have seen, in a tone. Oh my gosh, it is quite interesting how this was delivered by just switching to different topics now. That tourism now isn't just about visitors. You realize that it's about each and every one of us. You may have heard on previous podcasts that we were talking about diversifying our tourism products since we realized we're not really into cruise tourism based on 2 referendums that have been failed. But what we're being identified right now is that it's about Caymanians. It's about our livelihoods, our culture, and definitely our future. And with the new tourism budget for 2026 and 2027 that was presented by our Deputy Premier, Honorable Gary Ruddy, yesterday, makes one thing clear in his delivery. Change is happening, and it won't be business as usual. Let me just, and I quote, change is happening and it won't be business as usual. Now, what that means? Yeah. So Caymans really, our country's push for increased airlift in 2026, it's looking as though it's signaled to be a bold expansion in its stay over tourism strategy from what this government is presenting. And it's looking at aiming to boost arrivals by introducing a new airline carrier coming to our shores. It's looking at diversifying even our markets and elevating the quality of visitors' experience. So let me go back to the statement. Change is happening, and it won't be business as usual. I guess only time will tell what that means, right? So we're going to focus a little bit on the increased airlift and capacity that's expected for 2026. And, Cayman is right now negotiating with regional and international carriers to expand direct routes and frequency as well, especially to key US, Canada, and Latin American hubs. Mm-hmm. So their strategy is scheduling targeting peak season and underserved markets to smooth out visitor flow and reduce bottlenecks. So let's hope that it don't just all converge on Owen Roberts International Airport, which is already busting at the seams on Saturdays and Sundays, because it's like all of these planes just coming at one same time. And where tourism is concerned as well, infrastructure readiness as well, which he spoke about, because our own airport, Owen Roberts International, is a part of that plan, and supporting services must scale up to handle higher volumes efficiently. Now, even though that is signaling the change that they need, it's the pace that is concerned. because it's one thing going out in the market and making Cayman an attractive destination to visit. If we don't have the infrastructure to accommodate these masses, it can leave a bad taste in our arrival at the airport. So let's give them a chance. And, you know, what does more airlifts, meaning more airplane arrivals for stayover tourists? What a shifting from cruise to a more heavy experience, rich type of experience. And with increased flights means more overnight guests. And those who spend more stay longer and engage deeper with local culture. And when you're looking then at diversified visitor profiles, with new routes, we can possibly attract a more eco-tourists as well, wellness travelers, digital nomads, and regional explorers. People just want to discover who we are and not just beach goers. There was lots of talks as well about conferences and stuff, and the challenges. Huge conferences are not able to be had here because of immigration processes. And even when these conferences want to come, that they have had challenges with customs and getting stuff to set up their displays. And many times conferences were had and display setups did not make it, and they just had a hard time even getting equipment in. And these were some of the things that we actually were discussed. So these are all of the things. There is going to be some pressure on us being able to deliver a certain standard of product when it comes to hotels, restaurants, even attractions, and transport services in order to elevate standards. And staff needs to be trained up, skilled up, and the new innovative offerings to meet rising expectations for what we can deliver. So when you look at boosting the opportunities to boost revenue over long-term stays, the challenges that could face this country is a risk of over-tourism in peak areas. We see what it is the other day when we had a lot of cruise ships in the port. Again, we weren't used to that. And we saw what happened because now we have one particular road that we don't have access to. It's pedestrianized. And then the other roads, the outer roads now still need to interconnect. And it is what it is. So the other opportunities from what is being forecasted as well is job creation in the hospitality and transportation industry. But then here are the challenges that comes with that. The need for training and retention into that area. And then there could be some other opportunities as well for cultural exchange and global, for the Cayman Islands to be looked at globally, to have some visibility in the world. But then where do you strike the balance as a challenge? Balance in development with sustainability for this context. And the other opportunities that could come with this forecast could be incentives for boutique and heritage style tourism, which is new words, new terms, but again, it's diversifying our offerings, right? Because you're going to have these people here longer, which means they're not on the ground for 2.5, 3 hours, but over maybe 3 days, 4 days, maybe even a week. You have a more interactive approach, which tonight is farm to table at Cayman Bay. Those are some of the interactive experiences that is not rushed. And these are some of the things that could put key staples on some cultural local offerings that we offer here amongst everything else that we have. But then the challenge with these incentivize for boutiques and heritage tourism is that infrastructure strain if growth outpaces planning, and you just got to get it right. Otherwise, that could be a real disadvantage for us, so it is all about a balance. Yes, tragedy. Somebody got stabbed at school years ago, and don't pretend like this is anything new. Okay. Keith, thank God guns are not legal yet. The US, like the US, because things would probably be worse in our schools. Well, for the amount of gun and bladed incidents that we're having here, Keith, you hit the nail on the head. because I hope that we will never see the day where guns are legal here to have in the Cayman Islands, like how it is in the United States for open carry in certain states and that sort of stuff. Because then nobody would actually, you got to be afraid how you even drive at the road. You got to be scared when you're at a stoplight and you look at somebody. You might not even realize that you didn't indicate. That's how they're going to solve problems with road rage. So I'm hoping to Christ that never comes to Cayman. And I bet you'll see how vocal our Caymanians will be then, if that even comes on the table, which I don't think any sitting administration would be so darn out of their mind and be so stupid to even consider that. We are the hardest set of people to confuse. Want me to remind Anna what forged us or what? And before you know it, they have work permits. Well, Cameron, I don't know if you missed the class yesterday, but the honorable member for Prospect and minister responsible for immigration says that come January 2026, there's going to be in excess of 40,000 work permits still in play based on demand. And I still got to post it right here because of, and this was actually reiterated by the Minister of Tourism for what is, I got to look at my notes here, for what is really being forecasted. Yeah, there are two major hotels, a condo complex, and there's also another Peace Bay development that's coming on. So there are going to be over 40,000 permits still. Sabrina, do you think Michael Miles is doing a good job in his new role? He's doing what he's mandated by his in a ministerial role. Yeah, he's doing what he has to do. I know the time frame. I'm not going to judge him right now. He's not been in long enough. He's not been long enough. What he's putting together and putting forward with the support of his caucus and cabinet is stuff that was already on the way, and they saw it as a low-hanging fruit. And this has nothing to do with who did it. I'm glad that it was an item that was campaigned on during the campaign, and he brought it forward. Now, it is only a portion of what immigration reform is going to be needed. There's a bigger picture afoot, but I'm not here to grade how his performance has been in his role because he hasn't been there long enough yet. What he's doing is work that was already in the making, and they seized the opportunity to answer the will of the people. He did the road shows, and let's see, there are 15 amendments that is going to be needed as well that will be amended in committee stage amendment, Cameron. So I'm not going to judge him at this stage. And for me, it's neither here nor there. For me, I give kudos where it is. And right now, when we're mature enough to have that real conversation, I'd be more than happy to give my opinion. But right now, you all are not mature enough for me to give my opinion. And I think it would be unfair for me to credit any one of them or to actually score any one of them 7 months in. They not even got their budget fully approved yet, which it will be approved. So time will tell. There we go. But when you looked at what the Minister of Tourism and Trade and Development, there is, that ministry is looking to operate with CI $30.7 million just in the Ministry of Tourism and Trade Development, which is rising slightly to 31 million in 2027. Yeah. Now you might ask, why does that matter? That is the number that minister now is going to be responsible for. Why it matters is because nearly $28 million each year will go directly to the Department of Tourism for marketing, airline partnerships, and industry development. Did you hear what I said? 28 CI dollars, 28 million CI dollars will go directly to the Department of Tourism for marketing, airline partnerships, and industry development. So here's the question. How will those millions then translate to opportunities for Caymanians? Into jobs, into growth, into pride in our islands. We just have to wait, Cameron. Honest to Christ, we really have to wait. And when you're looking at sustaining and growing tourism for what it is, stayover arrivals are climbing. And what was declared is 338,000 visitors in 2024, between January and September, we saw this year alone, that was an increase by 2.4% from 2024. So that's 338,000 visitors between January and September. So pause, imagine, pause for a second. Imagine the impact of those extra visitors. That means more hotel bookings, more restaurant tables filled, and more taxis on the road. Yes. And with the new hotels opening, which is why there are going to be over 40,000 work permits still in play come January of 2026, that includes Grand Hyatt with 382 rooms, and Cayman's accommodation sector is also expanding by other resorts that are in the making. So air travel, as we can see, and as reported by the Honorable Deputy Premier, is booming. Because between January and April of 2026, they're going to be having seat capacity will jump by 18%. And that's because of more flights, more additional new flights coming in, which will have more seats and more gateways as well. So ask yourself, Cayman, how will this change the rhythm of daily life here? More tourists? Yeah. But also more opportunities for Caymanians to step possibly in leadership roles, to be more entrepreneurs, to diversify our long-term stay over tourism. This is the way now you can look at innovative ideas that can be ambassadors of Cayman. And then how the Deputy Premier presented it was in pillar format. He said that another pillar of tourism would be on the training and empowering of Caymanians. So now you can see where the amalgamation and working with other ministries is playing its part, right? Because tourism must work, as he stated, then for Caymanians, and Caymanians must work in tourism. That's the minister's mantra. So they will have scholarship funding rises to CI 1.45 million annually, while training programs will see big increases up to 58% more funding for education and awareness. So there we go. So at the end of the day, what does that mean for our young people? Because for the next generation deciding whether to stay, study, and build their careers here at home, it means doors and opportunities with these forecasted highs in the tourism sector. Skills and sharpening futures expanding is actually a reality. It's there. It is right there. And then it's just for us to make ourselves available. So there we go. Can't fool us with words. We know what power and how it's used. Cameron, we don't stop the streetlights in America. No behavior. Oh, you're something else. We definitely need to mature. I agree. There we go. You too. I'm not giving you a hard time, I put my hands up and hope the DJ know the crowd. You are something else. I read you a long time, Cameron, but you can say I'm not backing down from you. You're my bestest friend. You and Shaka Zulu. Now, the Honorable Deputy Premier also laid out a third pillar of tourism that says it's enhancing the tourism product. What does that mean? And what he meant by that is that growth means nothing if the product isn't world class. So it means we're going to celebrate, we're going to elevate, we're going to celebrate who we are, be proud of who we are, and not just a cookie cutter from other jurisdictions, right? And he is firm on funding from national attractions like Pedro St. James and the Botanic Parks, because for these areas, rises to, he has given them more funding to $2.3 million, right? Again, think about it. When visitors visit our shores, what do they remember most? Do they remember beaches? Yes. But they also remember stories, the culture, and authenticity. They do. And they want to interact with our locals. They really do. They want to hear from us. They want to engage. Now, the Honorable Deputy Premier also said that there's a $250,000 for beautification. There's also $500,000 for Caymanian entrepreneurs. You see what I'm telling you? $500,000 for Caymanian entrepreneurs and 1 million CI for the Film Commission rebate program. So here we go with another question. How do we make sure these investments don't just attract tourists, visitors, but inspire pride in Caymanians? And I'm quite sure as time goes by, you will get ideas and get instructions on how you can tap into these fundings that is there to assist Caymanian entrepreneurs in this industry, because we're realizing where we're going with trying to diversify our products, right? Just going into the fourth pillar here, because the time is against me. The trade diversification, you may wonder, what does that mean? The Deputy Premier said tourism is vital, but trade also matters too. And that's just some. The ministry, the Deputy Premier said that his ministry is working on a national trade diversification framework to reduce import dependency and lower costs for consumers. Interesting. Now that's going to be critical as well, because that all plays into everything what we were going to do with looking at for food sustainability. So here we go again. It shows that this ministry is not preparing to work in a silo mentality, but I'm quite sure he's engaging as well with the Minister of Agriculture, because that's all into looking at trades in its bigger format, right? But what does that mean if groceries, goods, and services become more affordable because of smart trade policies? And now that I say that, on Monday of next week, God's willing, I will be joined here on Sabrina Speaks by Mr. Woody DaCosta. Not Woody DaCosta, Woody Foster from Foster's. And he will be giving us an update, because we know that Thanksgiving is here and we're hearing the cost of, this could be the heaviest and most expensive Thanksgiving ever because of the tariffs and all that sort of stuff. But he has shared with me some good news that even if you order your Thanksgiving meals from Foster's, that their price has not increased this year. It has remained the same. But the shift in markets, the shift in what they are seeing right now in our region, we see that the Melissa has caused havoc on Jamaica. We don't know. We want to get an update from him leading into the holidays. There are a number of specials that are going on at Foster's, and they got this big giveaway as well. So, but I thought it was good, now that I mentioned about that trade, I want to share with you that Mr. Woody Foster will be back with us on Monday, and to let us know some more of all the happenings that are happening with one of our biggest supermarket chains here in the Cayman Islands, and to keep you informed with what's going on. We have been blessed to have had a good hurricane season. We have been spared, and just sustainability, because what happens in the region could impact us when it comes to how we import stuff. But all of these things, if you think it was only from the agriculture sector, tourism plays a part as well when it comes to trade. And the Deputy Premier as well, going back to what was stated by the Deputy Premier, Cayman Airways, remains a national asset, and they will be receiving CI $18.5 million annually. Yeah, Cayman Airways remain a national asset, receiving CI $18.5 million a year. With a new bundled travel packages are expected to generate CI 6 million in 2026. So that's what they're asking. So what we should be asking ourselves is, how can Cayman Airways not just carry passengers, but carry our national identity into the skies? It speaks about our service at the check-in counter. the beautiful logo that is on that plane, and you know you have a different feeling when you get off her or about to board her and you see her in another country lined up. I still say she's the prettiest plane. I used to say it was competing with Air Jamaica when Air Jamaica was Air Jamaica, but let me tell you something. There's a different pride. There's a different sense of pride when you see Cayman Airways anywhere you go. It just evokes a certain feeling in you. Yeah. Now let's look at the Cayman Turtle Center, because I know lots of you are down there waiting for your turtle meat for the Christmas and for Cayman Thanksgiving. The Deputy Premier said that the Cayman Turtle Center continues to as both a cultural and institution conversational hub, and ticket prices have nudged up, meaning they have gone up a little bit, and but the value of preserving the turtles are our heritage and our environment. Isn't that worth investing in? And it should mean something to every one of us. Now, new species conversation plans could open doors to partners and fresh revenue streams. So you see, they're diversifying the offerings to spark more conversations amongst visitors and tourists. And that could spark more conversations as well amongst our school children for these tours and all that sort of stuff. So the question becomes, how do we balance conservation with commerce? And that's what they're really going to be looking at, to be honest. So, yeah, you know me, what Cameron's saying. You know me or understand me. There's a distinctive difference. Smart trade, the word of the day. Jack Bush, God bless Cayman Islands. Yes, I tell you the truth. Keith, what is the government's planning to do with that 300 acre of land that they have in East End? I have to go look for that one specific, Keith, but I did get the numbers for was it you that asked me yesterday or Denver about the monies for the landfill? I have that information. I'm going to share that with you right now. They're going to try to sell CAL in a few years, and we won't defend that. Cameron, I suggest you go back and you listen to yesterday's show, because a certain term was used. But you know what? Let me leave it right there. There'll be another time. There'll be another time for that. So now that we're here, Keith, let me go into that, because I did write it down for you. It was either you or Denver, but I think it was you. When you look at our Cayman Islands, we're going to shift now to the Ministry of Health, right? We have identified that Cayman is at a crossroads. No care how you look at it, and that's all ministries. You see, tourism had a profound statement that it's going to change. Tourism or product has to change. Change is coming. It's here. Pretty much accept it or get left out. That's the big takeaway from that. But in its totality, Cayman is at a crossroads. And the landfill is filling up faster than predicted. And in one in 4 of our students has considered suicide. And this is what I'm doing now as a whole that was presented by the Minister of Health and Sustainability, right? Now, this is pretty much dissecting what she presented on the floor of Parliament yesterday, but I'm one day behind because when I was live, she was doing her presentation that went straight into the night. Now, she stated that these are not abstract numbers that she's presenting. They're urgent realities. But the question is, to be honest, what kind of future do we want for the children, for our environment, and ourselves? Because, as I said, she unveiled a budget that tackles both crises head on. And pretty much there's a health strategy that she spoke about. And for the first time since 2017, Cayman will have a coordinated national health strategy. You will understand that the national health strategy, all the public consultation happened in 2023, and they will start building the information, the vision as to where they wanted to go that would actually leave a footprint now for the next 10 to 15 years, if not longer. So How many of us actually know our blood pressure numbers right now? Remember, there was a step survey, there was a health strategy. All of that information that was collected there is building for the national health strategy to come together. And what this national health strategy is like the constitution of healthcare in the Cayman Islands. It sets the rules, regulations, standards for healthcare that is reciprocal of what the government should provide where policy and legislation is concerned. And it's reciprocal from the point of everybody in the industry and how they should conduct themselves. So, and she said that one of their flagship initiatives is the HEARTS, HEARTS program. And this is important because nearly 1 in 3 Caymanian adults have high blood pressure, and many without knowing it. So imagine you could be one of them right now. And could it be someone that you love even? But the HEARTS will standardize the treatment, raise awareness, and make cardiovascular care the new standards across all 3 islands. Now, she also presented the public health transformation, and she states that in her budget, it also sets the stage for a new independent national public health department, beginning in January of 2026. And when was the last time you pretty much felt confident that public health decisions were made quickly and transparently? Think about that. Public health. Now, this move, ladies and gentlemen, is about accountability and agility, which means faster decisions, stronger preventions, and better coordination is what that is going to yield. But it means also mandatory reporting of cancer and communicable diseases. And pretty much it's going to have a sharper focus on education, screening, and early intervention. Wouldn't you want to know that your community is prepared better for the next health crisis should it hit? Well, with an independent public health, that gives us quicker response times and not having to go through all of what went through or how it was actually structured for COVID. So with this modernization and an independent public health works, I'm just happy that she's continued with that. Now, she also looked into the mental health and acknowledges it's just not physical. And she said that mental health is front and center because the 2024 student survey revealed heartbreaking truths. And 1 in 4 students has considered suicide in that report. 1 in 8 has attempted suicide. So let me ask you one question. How do we as a society respond to that? Do we look away or do we act? The mere fact that the minister has identified this in data, local data that has been received, is profound. And what she's promising is that the government's response will be multi-layered because they are planning a new youth mental health facility. And they are going to have an interim 4-bed ward for adolescents who are in crisis. And they will also have a mobile nursing team that brings care directly into communities. You see the strength of public health right there again? So picture this. A nurse knocking on a family's door, offering to help before a tragedy strikes. Wouldn't you welcome that? Isn't that the kind of care that you feel we all deserve? This goes back to the days when we really had community nursing. I remember those days like you wouldn't believe it. And pretty much she also says, beyond crisis care, the Ponciana Rehabilitation Center, they continues to expand its recovery-oriented model by helping residents rebuild their lives with dignity. They're also going to do a child safeguarding is also being strengthened. And they're going to have and introduce new policies and trainings to protect children in healthcare settings. We already know how much shows we have had in regards to some incidents that took place on the mental health ward. Now she has promised that there will be new policies and training in protecting children in the healthcare setting. So when you look at the modernizing of regulations as well, she is saying that her ministry will modernize decades-old frameworks, like the new practitioner codes of practice, a digital platform for public health regulatory services, and updates to Public Health Act and health insurance framework. Now, the Pharmacy Act of 2024 was a benchmark or a landmark reform banning unsafe online pharmacies and introducing emergency use authorization. So what is next? What is next for that is the electronic prescribing. And what that electronic prescribing will do, it will reduce errors and improve coordination across providers, right? And here's a question for you, though, or what we should be asking. How many times have you worried about prescription being misread or even misplaced? Do you feel that digital prescribing gives you more peace of a mind, or that you'll probably get it filled? How much times have you driven around with your prescription in your sun visor and forget to fill it? Unless it's like high blood pressure stuff, but sometimes it has happened to the best of us. So there we go. We're going to go into the landfill. Stress or lack of knowledge. No wonder Caymanians are not able to be the majority of teachers of Cayman students. Pay attention, you all. Stand up or lay down. Can't teach that. Keith, studies have shown that high blood pressure is getting worse in children between the ages of 10 to 17 years old because of obesity. Yes, that too, Keith, came out in the STEP survey, in the trajectory for the future, to be honest, that we with persons living longer, we do it forecasts that we're going to have more persons with high blood pressure, with diabetes, and therefore we could see an increase in blindness, we could see an increase in dialysis use, we could see an increase in amputations as well. And for as many cases or many of times without proper early intervention, meaning catching it earlier instead of trying to self-medicate, when they do present themselves at a healthcare facility, oftentimes it's chronic and there's very little that can be done. So we're hoping that with the revamping of public health, the separation of public health to respond to these things in a faster way, get more boots on the ground. So people who feel that because they don't have medical insurance, they're embarrassed to go to the hospital or public hospital because they don't have money possibly to pay for medications, that they will be turned away for seeking care. And I am here to tell you that once you are a Caymanian and you need to access care at a public hospital, at the Anthony Edens Hospital, at Georgetown Hospital, at Health Services Authority, you cannot be turned away because you do not have any money or insurance. You cannot be turned away. If you listened to the budget statement yesterday, which the minister outlined line by line, it only qualifies what I have been saying here all along. Her ministry has budget line by line for adolescents, for seniors, for children, for people who don't have insurance, for people who has inadequate insurance. There's all line items there to cover that once you're Caymanian. Now, of course, HSA is a statutory authority, and the Cayman Islands government, core government, will fund their shortfalls, which is why some of those questions were asked by members of the opposition in the context and in the tone that they were asked. That is why they were asking those questions, how they were asking them. You heard there was a demand or ask for dialysis now in Bodden Town, to be able to dialyze patients in the eastern districts. And they were unsure that it was even being considered. But yet in another line item, there was a huge amount of monies that was there. And Christopher Saunders asked, what was that money earmarked for? Even though the mic was silenced. You got to understand the language in order to understand why the questions was asked. So the mere fact that Christopher says, so that means I could see dialysis services being offered in Boddentown districts because, hey, I'm flagging it. There's money there, but you're saying there were no plans? Guys, you got to listen. You got to read in between the lines. He pointed it out. We see where dialysis services now is going to be offered in West Bay, and they have been adequately funded. But then the question was asked, why isn't Boddentown Clinic being adequately funded? Is there a chance, an opportunity that a different healthcare facility, a sub-hospital, or dialysis services will be offered? Because even though the government wasn't funding that for Boddentown District, they said that that cost would have been covered by statutory authority HSA. Then further questions was being asked. I'm just delivering it in layman's terms for you. That is a conversation that the average citizen would not have understood. I am here bringing it clarity for you. So even though the minister, she had a golden opportunity to say, well, yes, even though the statutory authority is going to be funding that, case will be the thing. We'd have to see how you're going to retrofit the space at the existing place. Are we going to look for another place? Are we going to do an addition? How will all of those costs actually factor in? So to care how ignorant you may hear some of those MPs question, there's always a reason for why they're questioning the way they're questioning. And based on the answer, to get it on record, because I can tell you this much, I give it another year, there will probably be an update. Ask of the minister, how is progress going on in Boddentown for the dialysis of the for being able to entertain dialysis for the patients in the Eastern District? Because it's on record that there was a commitment made, but you have to understand the language. Okay? So there you have it. Yeah, how are you doing? How are you? Who's that? Oh my good. I can't keep up with you. You're welcome, Keith. Sabrina, you know most voters don't follow these proceedings. I know, and this is why they actually, I know some of my people, some of my students here follow it. I know it. But you got to understand the language as well, which is why sometimes here, as boring as this may seem, when I actually break this down in consolidated format, I can actually, and I go back and I listen to it at night. It's to make it make sense after I do a deep dive to bring it in a smaller context, okay? That's why I do it. That is why I do it, to keep you informed and educated. But there's a reason why the mics were probably silenced. I will not speculate. But the mere fact that when the mics were open and Christopher did actually, what he actually did, which was very crafty, is he locked them in, both the minister and the CEO of HSA, to give a commitment that they will actually do something to get dialysis services in the Eastern District, because he found an output, a line item that HSA would have the money and change to be able to possibly offer those services for those dialysis patients in the Eastern District. There you go. Now let's look at environment and sustainability for Keith, I think. It says Cayman's landfill took at least 124,125,000 tons of waste last year, far beyond projections. And 60% was commercial, 17% was vegetative garbage, and 12% was household trash. You hear? What happens when we keep throwing things away and there's no away? What happens? So what was presenting is that the new national solid waste strategy that will run from 2025 to 2035 There's an immediate goal, and that is to reduce the landfill intake over the next 5 years by, here we go, building processing facilities for green waste, recyclables, and household waste. And in the budget that she presented, allocations included nearly 1 million for landfill remediation, meaning capping and putting in the necessary infrastructure for the release of the methane gas and all that sort of stuff. 2 million for project management and $6 million for solid waste programs. She also stated that a new medical waste incinerator is planned, along with a landfill compactor for Cayman Brack to prevent fires and extend its lifespan. So there you have it. Now you got to look more because, like I said, line by line, it goes in to say exactly how much is for DEH, how much for this, how much for that. These are just whole numbers in order for me to consolidate this delivery for you. So I hope that answers your question. But I am also hoping that as they make their appearances on the various media houses and platforms, that you all will have an opportunity to either call in or message either platform to ask your specific questions. But if you do have an opportunity to watch yesterday's proceeding, which would have been the 19th, it would have been during the time that we were live, you will hear her go line by line. There were times it got heated. She held it down good. She maintained her composure. And again, but there's always a reason behind the types of questioning. Either direct or indirect messages were being sent. Even direct or indirect cautions were being sent. So you just got to be able to read in between the lines. But there you go. As it pertains to mosquito control, even mosquitoes are a part of the plan. Because the Mosquito Research Unit will also receive $1.8 million to replace its aging aircraft fleet. So that is a good thing to cover more grounds. And so how many of us have swatted any mosquitoes? I know one thing, you can't walk in the day without realizing that it could carry dengue and chikungunya. Yeah. Now, this investment, she says, strengthens Cayman's defense against disease that could devastate our community. And we know what's happening right now, 45 minutes away after the passage of Melissa there in Jamaica. And these little critters, they can travel in your clothes and your suitcase and all that sort of stuff. Maybe they have to revamp how they're fogging the planes, and even luggage from certain high-risk areas just to keep us safe. So there you go. So pretty much what does this all mean when it comes to healthcare and in total? Clean air and water and our environment preservation are being tested, not as pretty much privilege for our people, but really as of rights. And there's no difference when it comes to tourism, the police, Coast Guard, and all the ministries, because it means that Cayman is choosing, in this case, for health, sustainability, prevention, sustainability, and resilience. So we just got to give them an opportunity now that they have actually presented their budget. The opposition has had their day in questioning again, and just got to give them time, because this budget is Cayman's acting, not just reacting. And even though some of the fees that are being levied that were sold that they're not going to impact us, the more and more it sinks in, the more and more we're coming to the harsh realization that it will impact every one of us. But at the end of the day, it was acting to shape us into a better place, trying to help us remain competitive and sustainable in this market. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude this evening's episode of Sabrina Speak, even though Finance Committee is going to end tomorrow, the work has just begun. Yeah, it continues. And so does every one of our responsibilities. I don't care what you think. When I tell people we take care of, I'm hearing the fog truck now. When I tell people we take care of each other, nobody wants to know how we do it. Words and language are powerful. Yes, they are, Cameron. But you got to read in between the lines, and you have different ways as well as saying statements or making statements that are profound, but people, just because they don't understand, it goes poof over your head. So crafty is dismissive. Just say job. Nothing crafty about doing your job. Danny must have run out of credit this evening. You sickening, you leave my Danny alone. Anna can't, Anna love him and Anna hate him. What wrong with Anna? But he is a wealth of knowledge. Danny is busting at the seams with information. And one of these days, oh yeah, you can say Danny said it. Anyhow, yes, the exchange between the government and even the oppositions, as some of you may witness, even if you're going to catch up on it over the weekend, have been heated at times. And we have seen on display very strong personalities, stronger egos, and sharp words that filled this week and a half chamber. But beneath it all, one truth remains. Every member there represents not themselves. I want you all to remember that. Not their party. They are there to represent every Caymanian. And that's the power of unity. That's the power of togetherness and the power of transparency and definitely truth. So, Cayman, I don't care what they say. We remain one of the safest places on the world to live and to raise family, even if it is amongst the most expensive in the world. But safety and prosperity means little if we forget our very own people, or if you speak in a cryptic message, if you're not transparent, if you only use the word democracy when it suits yourself. The inclusion of others, every voice, the inclusion of every community is not optional. It's essential to all of our survival. But we mustn't lose sight of who we are, We have culture. We can't lose sight of our customs and our love for one another. These are what makes us unique. These are our treasures. And more valuable than money, power, or politics. Greed, my friends, must never erode the bonds that hold us together. Don't do it. Yeah. Stop the end of the day talk. Get that out of your vocabulary. You something else. Thank you, Real Michelle. I appreciate that. But so let's leave here with hope, Cameron. Let's leave here with hope. Hope that our debates sharpen ideas and not divide us. And hope that our transparency, as brutal as it may be, builds trust, not suspicion. And hope that our unity strengthens Cayman for generations to come, because we see what our young men and our futures are doing at John Gray High School. We see what's happening here. We may be at a crossroads, but we don't have to risk that with who we are, the core fabric of who we are as Caymanians. Because at the end of the day, our greatest wealth is not in numbers, Our greatest wealth is not in numbers. Don't make nobody fool you with that. Our budgets. Our greatest wealth is in our people and in the love that we share for this island. We should all be so proud to call home. That's a wrap for today. I want to thank you for staying with me. I want to thank you for engaging and being a part of the Sabrina Speaks family. Until tomorrow, love you lots. Enjoy your Thursday evening and be safe on the roads. Take care. Good night.
That's a wrap for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks. Thank you for tuning in and for being part of the conversation. Remember, the dialogue doesn't stop here. Stay engaged, stay informed, and most importantly, stay empowered. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m., same time, same place, right here on CMR TV and radio. where your voice matters and your truth is heard. Until then, K-Man, take care of yourself and each other.
That's it for today's edition of Sabrina Speaks, where your voice matters, your story counts, and your truth is always welcome. Join us weekdays from 5 until 6:30 p.m. right here on CMR TV as we dive into the topics that matter most to you. Catch the show live or on demand at cmrtv.com. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so you never miss a moment. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and always speak your truth.